What's wrong with Oregon football? Yeah, I know. They're 2-0. That's great. That's important. But they're barely beating teams that they're supposed to be blowing out. So let's figure this out. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. Coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Go to 5hourenergy.com and use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. So Oregon's 2-0, but they're 0-2 ATS against the spread, and not even close. Big Ten news plus our Tuesday tweets. Hang around for that. We always have a lot of fun with that. And it's important to remember that Oregon is 2-0. Okay, everything's still on schedule. No reason to hit panic mode here. They got all their goals in hand, including a Big Ten and a national championship. So what's to worry about? Well, I have some questions. All right. The Duck season opener, they beat Idaho 24-10. They were favored to win that game by 43.5 points. 10-point victory is not 43.5 points, not even close. First week jitters, rustiness, I don't know. You tell me. Surely they get things fixed by week 2, right? Well, the Ducks were 19.5-point favorites to beat Boise State, and they needed a last-second field goal by Atticus Sappington to win that game. Now this is starting to become a pattern, not an anomaly. I mean, Oregon is supposed to be the team up there fighting neck and neck with Ohio State at the top of the conference, right? So what does head coach Dan Lanning have to say? Even he has mixed emotions right now. He says winning is a sense of relief, but he knows that we got a lot of stuff to fix. Those are his words. Even the Autzen Stadium faithful, one of the most loud and vocal home crowds in all of college football, they started raining down boos on Saturday. The Ducks offense, they had 3 straight runs, including on a 3rd and 13. They weren't having any of it. The Ducks punted 7 times in that game, again, against Boise State. In a game versus a lesser opponent, the big play or a few big plays, that's what saved the day. If those don't happen, we might be talking about a different story here today. Tez Johnson, the 85-yard punt return for a touchdown. Noah Winnington's 84-yard kickoff return where he got careless at the goal line, thought he was done and got rid of the ball. Thankfully, teammate picked up the ball, Jaden Lamar, and officially was a touchdown. Nevertheless, couple of big plays, right? Can't really count on long scoring punt and kickoff returns. They just don't happen every day. Without those, they don't win that game. You know, Oregon's probably sitting here at 1-1 today instead of 2-0. Dylan Gabriel he had 59 and 34-yard touchdown passes in that game. A couple of big plays. Don't want to knock it. It's part of the game. He did it. But what's equally confusing about the inconsistent offense is that Dylan Gabriel's stats are actually incredible, right? He's completed 59 of 70 passes in 2 games. That's 84%. That's pretty good. Kind of like Bo Nix. He's thrown for 623 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and his QB rating is 177.9. Stellar stuff. So why is the offense struggling to get going here? You know, the truth is, despite the big plays on Saturday night, the Ducks offense only had 2 drives of more than 5 plays. They only had 110 yards rushing. The defense gave up 221 yards, by the way, in that game. But you know what kills offensive drives? If you're any kind of football fan or watch football for any length of time, penalties kill drives. The Ducks offensive line by themselves, 9 penalties in 2 games so far. In fact, the entire team had 9 penalties on Saturday. The offensive line has allowed 7 sacks in 2 weeks, and the Ducks have fumbled 3 times. They've lost 2 of them in their 2 games. These are things that kill drives. Dan Lanning has been rotating a lot of guys on the offensive line, and maybe that's a major part of the problem here. The O-line needs cohesion. It takes time. You got to work together with 4 other guys alongside you. And maybe it would just be better if Dan Lanning just picked 5 guys and went with them and stuck with them for the most part. Now, the quarterback on this team says they're still trying to find their identity. Okay, that's what Gabriel says. He says, he feels like, hey, if we just clean some things up, everything will be just really, really fine. He says they're going to be really good. But we're 2 games in now. Now, Oregon's next game could be a little tricky. Now, you may laugh, but did you think Boise State was going to be tricky? No. Did you think Idaho was going to be that close? No. And the next one is a little unusual. It's at Oregon State, right? 3:30 on Fox, by the way. Again, at first glance on the schedule, many probably chalk that one up as a dub, as a win. Oregon is a 16.5-point favorite for this game. They've been favored in these other games. So you can take solace in the fact that Vegas thinks that Oregon is more than a 2-touchdown favorite here, but that means nothing until the Ducks figure out what's going on. And as Dan Lanning says, until they fix stuff. Plus, all right, let's break it down here. The fact that Oregon State is next, that's no small matter. The Beavers and their fan base, they're livid that their rival Oregon, their neighbor, bolted, left them behind. Oregon State and Washington State were the only 2 schools in the Pac-12 that got caught holding the bag while everybody else bolted for greener pastures. So while Oregon's off there out in the old Big Ten getting all sorts of national attention, Oregon State and Washington State, their futures are very much in question right now. So they're upset. They're not happy at all. They're going to be wanting to take it out on the Ducks. Their fan base would love nothing more than for them to go ahead and have some sort of upset here in this game. And they're off to an easy 2-0 start already so far. They had a 38-15 win over Idaho State and a 21-0 win over San Diego State. So I don't think this is a layup by any stretch of the imagination. So Oregon better get things dialed in here and figure it out before this game against Oregon State. What do you think? Oregon fans, always hear from you guys. You guys have been great, by the way, since you've discovered us here on Locked On Big Ten. And since you all have joined the Big Ten, always love talking about Ducks football. We still have big expectations for Oregon. They're going to get working through this. And we still think that game against Ohio State October 12th is as big as any. And we still think that Oregon is very much in the mix for a Big Ten championship. So, but this is not the start that everybody envisioned. We can all admit that. So I'd love to hear from you. If you have any good theories as to what's going on, hit me up. Twitter, Talk Big Ten. Also, comments on YouTube are fantastic, especially if you all go back and forth exchanging ideas. That really gets that thing snowballing for us. And also our website, talkbig10number10.com, where all of our podcasts go and our merchandise goes as well. If you're watching on video, you may see a scroll on the bottom of this as well. You can join our Locked On Big Ten Texter Insider community. That's direct access to me and me to you, back and forth. Text the word first 30, that's first 30, first 30 to 872-217-3100. Again, that's 872-217-3100. And the first 30 subscribers get 6 months free. That gets you throughout the entire football season and into March Madness for you to decide, hey, I really like this. And the back and forth, Q&A with me, comments back and forth like during games, all that right there if you subscribe to that. Meanwhile, as always, feel free to subscribe to our podcast, Locked On Big Ten. It is free. It's a click of a button. There's no other information. We're always looking for new subscribers there. And we always ask you to share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten each and every day. Thank you very much for all of that. All right, we've been spending a lot of time talking about Oregon. And, if it weren't for them, we'd be talking about Penn State. Same thing. Big scare against Bowling Green, not winning by margins that they're supposed to. We'll take a look at that. The Hoosiers are favored in the Rose Bowl. We have our AP Top 25 comment. I got 2 thoughts about the AP Top 25 that came out this week about the Big Ten. I will share that with you. That is coming up next right here on Locked On Big Ten. I want to tell you about Ultimate College Football Head Coach. This is a fun game, simulation game. Lets you step inside the shoes of a coach to lead your favorite school? Big Ten school, probably, right? So you can imagine what it's like being a head coach. You get to recruit your players. You get to pick your coaching staff. You handle nil and all this other stuff that's going on, juggle it, and then call plays during games. Everybody loves this. This Ultimate College Football Head Coach, completely free, no ads, 100% playable offline, and you can play on the go whenever you want. And of course, I have a special offer for you here for Locked On Big Ten fans. Use the promo code Locked On CFB, all caps, inside the game store to receive a free boost to your program. And make sure to take advantage of this perk and get your team off to a strong start. Download the game. Just visit ultimate-cfb.com, ultimate-cfb.com, and look it up in the app stores as well. Ultimate College Football HC, Ultimate College Football Head Coach. Become a great coaching legacy. Start on your legacy. Be the great coach you always knew you could be right here. Ultimate College Football HC. Well, thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. And you everydayers out there, thank you very much. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe for free to Locked On Big Ten. And just click the little button and share and follow. And again, if you can really share it with a friend of yours that you know is a Big Ten alum, that would be fantastic. Word of mouth, this thing has been taken off like crazy thanks to you guys. And we're here. If you can share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day, here every single day. And don't forget our website as well, talkbig1010.com. All right, Penn State, much like Oregon, 2-0. But they were 30-point favorites to beat Bowling Green on Saturday. They trailed by 2 scores at one point, trailed most of the game, and ended up winning 34-27. And that was a home game, too. It took a lot of people by surprise. I was coming off of a 34-12 win at West Virginia in week 1, where I thought a lot of positive things came out of that offense in that game for Penn State. But on Saturday versus Bowling Green, Penn State just had 2 third-down conversions and 7 penalties for 76 yards. It was not clean. It was not a clean game. So, again, Oregon, Penn State, hey, it happens to a lot of people. This is the time of the season. You got to start working that out before you start playing some more of the big boys on your schedule. Just like Oregon fans, I'd like to hear from Penn State fans with what you think is going on as well. I think a lot of it has to do with the Nittany Lions defense. It's not that great at the moment. Letting a lot of people fly through that secondary. Former Indiana quarterback Connor Bazelak was throwing the ball all over Penn State. And their offense converted 7 of 14 3-pointers, or third downs, I should say. 3-pointers, not basketball season yet. And the receivers had a big day. And again, that's against Tom Allen secondary, the new defensive coordinator. Got to work some things out. Look, certainly things to fix. The Nittany Lions have a week off before hosting Kent State on the 21st. But then the Illini come to Beaver Stadium. They just upset number 19 Kansas this past weekend. Speaking of Tom Allen, his former school, Indiana getting a little bit of notice here, right? First-year head coach Curt Cignetti, following their 77-3 win over Western Illinois over the weekend. That was on Friday. Make no mistake about it. Western Illinois, maybe one of the worst football teams in all of college football. But the fact that Indiana put 77 on them, people started noticing. And now Indiana's Big Ten opener against UCLA at the Rose Bowl this Saturday. Indiana opened as a 1.5 favorite. Now the line's moved to 3.5. People thinking the Hoosiers are going out west to win. So I want to give you another follow-up here on the Iowa game we talked about here over the weekend. Iowa, of course, loses the Cy-Hawk Trophy to Iowa State. Last-second field goal. It's very disheartening. You know, the Hawkeyes at the very, very beginning of the game looked like they were going to have a big offensive day, going with 5 wide receivers, an empty backfield, very un-Iowa-like. Didn't really see that later on in the game. But, you know, Cade McNamara, 99 yards passing for the game. That's not a lot. That's not good. He only had 19 in the second half, and he whipped on 16 of his final 20 passes, didn't complete them. A lot of people are pointing that as the reason why Iowa State was able to hang around and eventually erase the Hawkeyes lead and then win the game on the last second kick. Nobody was complaining about McNamara when he threw 3 touchdown passes for 251 yards the week before against Illinois State. But if this continues, you might want to keep an eye on Northwestern transfer Brandon Sullivan, who's waiting in the wings. We may get a look at him anyway. You never know how these games are going to go. They got Troy coming up next. Should be a big lead. Should be. And if it is, maybe we'll see him play a little bit. 2 things jump out at me at this week's AP Top 25 college football rankings. First of all, 6 Big Ten teams in the top 25. Pretty good. Ohio State there at number 3 because Texas is now number 2 after the win over Michigan. Penn State at 8, Oregon 9. So you got 3 in the top 10. You got USC right outside at 11. So 4 of the top 11 teams, Big Ten teams. I like that. Michigan falls to 17. And congratulations, Nebraska. You're in the top 25. You're 23rd, actually. And more good news regarding the depth of the Big Ten. Illinois, Washington, Iowa, Wisconsin, all receiving votes. They're just on the outside knocking on the door. So that's great. But the other observation I had, as you did as well, 6 of the top 7 teams are SEC. We gotta get those SEC guys. We gotta get in there. Ohio State's holding down the fort right there, sitting there at number 3, surrounded by all these SEC teams in the top 7. Got to mix it up a little bit. But I don't right now, after 2 weeks of watching, if Oregon gets on track, great. But who's going to be hanging there with Ohio State the rest of the way? Ohio State, Oregon, Southern Cal, to me, got that look. They might be the team. Nebraska might be that team. Maybe Michigan can figure something out and be a factor later on. I don't know right now until they figure out the quarterback situation. But those are a couple of my thoughts with the AP Top 25 poll I wanted to share with you and get your thoughts on that as well at Talk Big Ten at Twitter or the comments on YouTube, of course. And love to hear from you there. All right. We have Tuesday tweets coming up in a minute. We always do this on Tuesdays. If you're new to the program, we always have a feature in our final segment. We do our Big Ten top 10 observations from the weekend on Mondays, Tuesday tweets on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, we do power rankings, the standings as we see them. On Thursdays, we always like to look ahead to Big Ten programming and Big Ten classics and live football programming. And then on Friday, we do our pigskin picks. So all that's coming up. We'll have the tweets. We've got some fun, some great ones out there. Everybody's all enthusiastic now that the season is underway. That's all in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. 5-hour energy. Need a little boost? No matter what you're doing, get 5-hour energy. 5-hour energy fixes tired fast. I love that line. It's one of the greatest advertising lines I've ever heard. 5-hour energy fixes tired fast. So if you're a little tired, you got a long drive ahead of you, or you have no energy to work out at the end of the day, but you really want to work out, 5-hour energy can give you that energy you need. A little sleepy in the afternoon at the office, at the desk, after a big lunch. 5-hour energy is what you need. All sorts of uses. 0 sugar, by the way. Convenient portable size, and it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. They got flavors, lots of them. Watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry. I like the grape one myself. So you go to 5hourenergy.com. That's the number 5. 5hourenergy.com. Get some 5-hour energy product today. Use my promo code, Locked On CFB. Locked On CFB. Receive 20% off your order. This order is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. And the code is not good with other subscription orders, but you can go to 5hourenergy.com today and get it. Once again, 5hourenergy.com. It's time for Tuesday tweets. We always like this. Let's put it on the board. If you're audio only, I'll describe it in detail. We're going to put it on video. We grabbed about a dozen of them here today we want to share with you, and we'll go full screen with them right here and check them out together. All right, we started off with at Ohio State football. On to the next one, a collage of Ohio State football players. They got the bye week, and then it's Marshall coming up next on the schedule. with the 2-0 start and a couple of big blowouts there. Blowout so much that they decided to sit Will Howard and put out Julian Sayin out there, the 5-star freshman quarterback, threw a 55-yard touchdown pass. So they, all the starters, the secondary players, everybody's rolling at Ohio State right now. Here is one. This is from at Fox College Football, or College Football on Fox. It is their release of the top 25 with all the logos. It's all nice and pretty, 1 through 25. And they ask, and we ask, do you agree with the latest rankings? And we just went through them a moment ago. 6 of the top 7 SEC teams. Georgia leading the way, by the way. And there we have Ohio State. The question is, we mentioned 6 of the 7 are SEC, and right there at 8 and 9 is Penn State and Oregon, which we just spent the first half of this podcast talking about. What's wrong with these guys? Do they feel like they're about to move forward and jump in higher into the top 10? I don't know. I told you the one to watch, Southern Cal, sitting at number 11. They seem like they have things going in the right direction. And I know, Michigan, probably lucky to be in the top 17 right now, and Nebraska ranking there at number 23. That is very good. Speaking of number 11, here's from at USC football. Our work continues as they climb and climb. A little collage of USC football players. And the big number 11, ranked 11th. All right. Momentum is on their side. They are on the rise. Here's a little football montage from Ross-Ade Stadium at Boiler Football. It's game week. They had a bye week, and they have Notre Dame coming to West Lafayette. Notre Dame after the shocking loss this past weekend. Purdue feels like it can win this game now. They're excited. They're ready to go. I don't know what Notre Dame is right now, but Purdue's had a week off to prepare for them, so we'll see what happens. Here's a great picture from this weekend of Oregon and Boise, and this is Tez Johnson's return down the right sideline. There's Dan Lanning, the head coach, side by side on the sidelines, almost step for step, running and getting the steps in along the sidelines with him all the way down. So, that was from at Mega Quack. That's cool. I like that. Good picture. All right, here's from one at Sam Block. He says, I can't believe this photo is real. It's probably a Michigan fan. So this is a photo of the Los Angeles Chargers locker room after the win of the Raiders. Coach Jim Harbaugh and his running back, J.K. Dobbins, who rushed for over 100 yards in this game. Just gave him a game ball. What's unusual about this? Well, J.K. Dobbins was at Ohio State. And the last time Jim Harbaugh saw him, Dobbins rushed for 260 yards and 4 touchdowns versus Harbaugh's Michigan team. They're on the same side now. That's pretty good. Here's one from at Don Thomas. Don't cry because it's over, meaning the troubles that Michigan is having. Smile because it happened. This is a quote from Dr. Seuss. Life can be boiled down to the simple quote from Dr. Seuss. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. And then he reminded us that tomorrow marks 8 months since the amazing moment when Michigan won a national championship. He's got a couple collage pictures, Jim Harbaugh and the team, when they beat Washington for the national championship as the final seconds are winding down 34-13. There you go. Be happy it happened. Enjoy. It was a good 3-year run. Here's from at Barstool, Iowa. Y'all thought it was a joke. And what this is, I was retweeting one from at Heavens FX, which we've used before as well. Defense and special teams win the game. This is like Iowa football talking, except they compare the stats of the Iowa Hawkeyes. And do you know who the Bears punter is? The Bears punter is Tory Taylor, who was the amazing punter for Iowa last year. Might have been their MVP at one point. Last year, Tory Taylor at Iowa averaged just over 6 punts a game, 46 yards per kick, 278 yards per game, and put 43% of them inside the opponent's 20-yard line. Well, in his NFL debut with the Bears, Taylor had 6 punts, 45-yard average, 271 total yards, and put 50% of his kicks inside the 20. He's doing his Iowa thing with the Bears. And by the way, it worked. Caleb Williams, the rookie quarterback, was horrible, and they still won the game with horrible quarterback play. because special teams, defense, the Iowa way works with the Chicago Bears. Hilarious. I love it. Here's from that Big Ten football, and it is a highlight of the 6 Big Ten teams in the top 25 in collage fashion: Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, USC, Michigan, and Nebraska. Celebrate it. Congratulations. Love this one. You've all seen the meme of Homer Simpson coming out of the bushes, not liking what he sees, and then he goes back into the bushes. Well, here's from at Blue by 90. Michigan fans today. Homer coming out as a Michigan fan, not liking what he's seeing, going back into the bushes, switches his gear to Lions gear, who beat the Rams on Sunday Night Football. Lions hat and a little foam finger. There he goes. Probably a lot of Michigan people like that. Like, well, Michigan might struggle this year, but at least the Lions are good, right? Here's from at Michigan State content. The first time since 2019 that Michigan State won, Michigan lost, and the Lions won all in the same weekend. Hashtag go green. And it has all their logos on it with a big X over the Michigan one because they lost. And here is from at Barstool Huskers. We back. That's right. Matt Rule, finger in the air, headsets on. Nebraska ranked 23rd in the AP Top 25 poll. Congratulations. First time Nebraska's been ranked since 2019. Go Big Red. That was a fun game. That was a fun game to watch, beating up on Colorado on Saturday night. In fact, here's another shot from that game with the lights and the red glow and Dylan Raiola, the freshman quarterback, and the atmosphere. This is from at Husker Football, and it says, nobody will remember your salary or how busy you were or how many hours you worked, but people will remember this atmosphere. I will. It was awesome. It was fantastic. A lot of fun. Nebraska is on the rise. All right. What do you think about those tweets? You want to send me one at Twitter, at Talk Big Ten. Don't forget, love your comments. Hit us up on YouTube. And don't forget our website, talkbig1010.com. And we always look forward to you there. All of our podcasts go there chronologically and by school. And while you're there, you can pick up some of your Big Ten school shirts and hats and T-shirts and all that right there at talkbig10.com. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast. It's free. It's a click of a button, and that's it. You never have to do anything again. Subscribe and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you get the latest episode of Lockdown Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. And go back and catch up on a couple. We had another great one yesterday, trying to figure out what's going on with Michigan. That's there on Lockdown Big Ten. And check out a second listen. Join our friends at Lockdown College Football and their podcast each and every day. Lockdown College Football available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Lockdown Podcast Network, your team every day. That'll do it. We got plenty of news coming up. I'm just trying to do a little digging to see if there's a plan in place at Michigan at quarterback. We may do a little something on that tomorrow, but we'll have all the latest Big Ten news as we get closer. We're in the middle of the week now, and we start focusing on week 3 of the college football season. Got some big games, of course. Alabama going into Camp Randall. We're going to look at that game too, taking on the Wisconsin Badgers. So all that coming up this week right here on Locked On Big Ten. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next time. I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll talk to you next time.